What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we are going to discuss your status as a minority. Surprising, I know. And why you should be invigorated and inspired to join and be a part of the EWMC, because it is the group within the IBEW that advocates and pushes for policies that are beneficial to you as a minority. I'll let you know what I'm talking about. First, hit the like button, subscribe button, ring the notification bell, drop your comments, and share these videos. Let us grow the sphere of influence, because it is important that we get the message out there, especially for our siblings in the IBEW who don't have a clue and need one. Let us provide said clue and some breadcrumbs for Hansel and Gretel to find their way on over to the EWMC. All right, now, first off, who is a minority? Traditionally speaking, in this country at least, we would say minorities would be anyone who would not be of the white persuasion. So if you're a Latino, if you're African American, if you're Native or Indigenous, it would be thought of as you're a minority in America. However, I want to change how you view what a minority is, because by definition, the minority is the smaller number or part of. The smaller number or part of. It also says that a minority is a relatively small group of people, especially one commonly discriminated against in a community, society, or nation. You. That means you watching this video. If you are in a union, no matter what union it is, if you are in a union, you are a minority. And it doesn't matter if you have fair skin, blonde hair, blue eye, and a history of family members going back all the way to Jamestown. If you are in a labor union, you are a minority. Why would I say such a preposterous thing? It's offensive. Why would you say that? Calling people a minority when they don't feel like they're minorities. Not my fault you don't know what you are. It's not my fault. I'll tell you why I say it, though. You're in a union, right? How many people do you think are in a union that work for a living, wage earners? How many people do you think? What's the percentage of folks that are in unions? If you were going to say 30%, I'd say congratulations on inventing the time machine, because we haven't had those numbers since the 50s. If you were to say 20%, I'd say, man, we must be doing a lot better than we were last year. I bet you don't know what the percentage is. Don't bother looking it up, I'll tell you. Nationally, 10.1% of all wage and salaried employees are union members. 10.1%. Now, when we look at the definition of a minority, the smaller number or part of. Well, 10.1% sure is a small number. That means that 89.99% are non-union workers. That makes you a minority. You need to come to grips with that. Now, if you're in Virginia, which I happen to be a resident of Virginia, if you're in Virginia, the number is far worse. 3.7% in Virginia. So you're like a minority's minority in Virginia if you are in a union. And I know it can be upsetting to think of yourself as a minority, especially when you think of the historical context of how minorities have been treated in this lovely land of ours. However, I would say, fear not, there is an organization for you. An organization that is on the forefront of fighting for the advancement of working rights and for better representation for minorities. That organization is the EWMC. and we are a national group, not just local to DC. We are a national group. The IBEW has a national organization called the Electrical Workers Minority Coalition, or caucus, and it is a national organization. The EWMC operates in many different locals. If your local doesn't have one, you should investigate how to create one. If your local does have one, you should find out by contacting your local and asking about it. And if they do have one, find out, attend a meeting. See if we don't pique your interest, because the EWMC is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to union activism, union action in the community. The EWMC is one of the most vibrant groups inside of the IBEW, doing good works in the communities to raise the profile of unions in these communities so that we can affect policy decisions and policy proposals and legislation in our communities. The more the public sees unions doing good things in their community, the more the public is going to embrace unionism. We already are sitting on a record high 70% approval rating, generally speaking, for unions. That percentage is going to go through the roof the more that we get involved in our communities. And the EWMC is a great avenue for you to get involved in your community. If you don't know how to do it, hit the EWMC up and get involved in the community through us, because that's what we do. That's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to talk to you about. So another one of those definitions in minority says commonly discriminated against in a community, society, or a nation. If you don't think unions are commonly discriminated against in our society, we have not been paying attention to labor history. Because I'll give you one example. It's a clear-cut example, and it's a very good example. I'll give you two, actually. Start with the one. Discriminated against and treated unjustly. Here's one for discriminated against and treated unjustly. The Sherman Antitrust Act was a law written to throttle the power of big businesses to absorb other businesses and become monopolies and become basically lords of industry, of any specific industry. That's what the intent of the Sherman Antitrust Act was. However, the actual use of the Sherman Antitrust Act was to break up unions, to create injunctions against unions, and to break up strikes. If that's not discriminated against, I don't know what is. I'll give you another example. The Air Traffic Controllers Union went on strike for better wages in the 80s, and the President of the United States fired all of them and replaced them with scab employees, destroying the labor movement for 40 years. And that was old Ronald Reagan, the conservative hero. Destroyed unions for 30 plus years, almost 40 years, by firing all the air traffic controllers. So let us not be naive to think that unions are not discriminated against in this country. Just last year, the president stopped a strike with the railroad workers when they were fighting for time off and for better conditions, and the result of making them go back to work was a derailment in Palestine, Ohio, and a environmental disaster over there. Let us not be fooled into thinking we are part of their ruling class. We are not. We are working people struggling. We are minorities in this country, and we should come together and advocate for each other so that we can have a better existence on this planet while we're here. That's my pitch. Find out about the EWMC near you. If it's in your local, find out about it, become a part of it. If you're in DC and you don't know what the EWMC is, reach out to me or any member, and we'll talk to you about it and let you know what's up. But the EWMC is just a group of electricians coming together to advocate for working people, to get in the community and do good works, and to build solidarity amongst our siblings so that we can create a stronger, more vibrant labor force. That's what we're about. Hope to hear from you soon. All right. Don't forget, the fight's not left and right. It's up and down. It's going to take class solidarity to win always. Each one teach one, get out there and reach one, and there can be no union without you and I front and center. Peace.